Alexander Alex Harlan had always prided himself on being the architect of his own destiny. Born and raised in the crisp, windswept suburbs of Chicago, Illinois, Alex was the kind of man who turned blueprints into realities, literally. At 28, he was a rising star at Harlan & Associates, the family-run architecture firm his father had founded in the shadow of the Willis Tower. Tall and broad-shouldered, with a mop of dark hair that he kept neatly trimmed and hazel eyes that sparkled with quiet confidence, Alex moved through life like a well-engineered bridge, sturdy, reliable, and unyielding to the storms that battered lesser structures. His days were a symphony of shady software, client meetings, and late-night sketches, but his evenings belonged to Emily. They'd met 3 years ago at a charity gala in Millennium Park, where she'd been volunteering for a local art restoration project. Emily Voss, with her cascade of auburn curls and a laugh that could light up the foggy Chicago skyline, was a graphic designer who dreamed in colors and curves. She balanced Alex's straight lines perfectly. Their engagement had come last spring, under a canopy of blooming cherry blossoms in Grant Park, with a simple platinum band that Alex had designed himself, elegant, timeless, no frills. Alex's family was his anchor. His father, Richard Harlan, a grizzled veteran of the firm with a salt and pepper beard and a voice like gravel, had taught him the value of precision. His mother, Clara, was the heart of the operation, a former schoolteacher turned homemaker with a penchant for baking apple pies that could make the neighbors knock on the door uninvited. They lived in a sprawling Victorian in Oak Park, the same house where Alex had grown up racing matchbox cars across the hardwood floors and hiding under the grand staircase during thunderstorms. To the outside world, Alex Harlan was the picture of stability, a man whose life was mapped out in clean lines and solid foundations. He volunteered at the local Habitat for Humanity chapter on weekends, coached a youth soccer team in the summers, and had never once questioned the narrative of his upbringing. But beneath that polished exterior, like the unseen rebar in a concrete slab, there were questions he didn't even know to ask. Questions about a faded photograph tucked away in a dusty album, waiting to crack the facade. It was the week before Christmas, and the Harlan home buzzed with the scent of pine and cinnamon. Snow dusted the rooftops of Oak Park like powdered sugar, and the streets glowed with strings of twinkling lights. Alex and Emily had driven in from their cozy apartment in Wicker Park, arms laden with gifts and a bottle of Emily's favorite Pinot Noir. The family dinner was a Harlan tradition, turkey instead of ham, because Richard swore ham was for amateurs, and an after-dinner ritual of flipping through old photo albums by the fireplace. Clara insisted on it every year. It was her way of weaving the threads of memory into the fabric of the present. As they pulled into the driveway, Alex glanced at Emily in the passenger seat. She was fiddling with the diamond solitaire on her finger, her green eyes wide with that mix of excitement and nerve she always got around his parents. "You think Clara's made her famous stuffing?" Emily asked, her voice light. Alex chuckled, killing the engine. "If she hasn't, we'll stage an intervention." He leaned over and kissed her forehead, lingering just long enough to feel the warmth of her skin against the chill seeping through the car windows. This was his life, predictable, perfect. Or so he thought. Inside, the house enveloped them like a hug. Richard clapped Alex on the back hard enough to rattle his teeth, while Clara pulled Emily into a flour-dusted embrace, her apron smeared with cranberry stains. The dining room table groaned under platters of roasted turkey, mashed potatoes flecked with chives, green bean casserole topped with crispy onions, and Clara's stuffing, savory cubes of cornbread soaked in sage and sausage. They ate with the easy rhythm of family, laughter punctuating stories of Christmases past. The year Richard's fruitcake had caught fire, or when Alex, at 8, had demanded Santa bring him a set of Lincoln logs big enough to build a fort. As the plates cleared and coffee steamed in mugs adorned with reindeer, Clara vanished into the living room. She returned with a stack of leather-bound albums, their spines cracked from years of love. "Time for the Harlan highlight reel," she announced, settling into the armchair by the fire. Richard groaned good-naturedly, but pulled his reading glasses from his shirt pocket. Emily snuggled against Alex on the couch, her head on his shoulder, as Clara cracked open the first volume. The pages turned like whispers of forgotten summers. There was baby Alex in a sailor suit, chubby fists clutching a teddy bear. Toddler Alex on his first bike, knees scraped raw from a tumble down the hill on Scoville Avenue. Schoolboy Alex at his elementary graduation, gap-toothed grin beaming under a mortarboard too big for his head. Emily cooed over each one, tracing the edges with her fingertip. Look at you, future Mr. Blueprint, she teased, nudging Alex. He smiled, but his mind wandered to the firm. Tomorrow's meeting with the Lakeshore high-rise developers loomed large. Clara flipped deeper into the albums, the photos yellowing at the corners, the colors fading like old tattoos. Ah, here we are, she said, her voice softening. She slid a particularly thick album across the coffee table, its cover embossed with faded gold lettering. Harlan Family, 1990 to 2000. This one's from when you were little, Alex. Remember that trip to the Wisconsin Dells? Alex leaned forward, nostalgia tugging at him. The page she opened featured a snapshot from a family picnic by Lake Michigan, the summer he turned 6. He was in the foreground, building a sandcastle with plastic shovels, his face smeared with sunscreen and sand. Richard loomed behind him mid-laugh, a beer in hand. Clara was off to the side, waving at the camera. Emily pointed at a seagull photobombed in the corner. Classic bird interruption. But Clara didn't laugh. Her finger hovered over the photo, trembling slightly. The firelight danced across her face, casting shadows that deepened the lines around her eyes. She turned to Alex, her blue eyes, mirrors of his own, wide and searching. Slowly, deliberately, she leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that cut through the room's warmth like a winter gust. Alex, don't you see it? He blinked, caught off guard. See what, Mom? The world's worst sandcastle architect? Her hand tightened on his knee, nails digging in just enough to sting. No, honey. Look closer. In the background. Behind you. The room fell silent. Richard set his mug down with a clink, his brow furrowing. Emily straightened, her arms slipping from Alex's shoulders. He followed Clara's gaze, squinting at the photo. The background was a blur of beachgoers and waves lapping at the shore, the kind of out-of-focus haze that came from cheap point-and-shoot cameras. But there, just beyond the edge of his sandcastle, partially obscured by a cluster of beach umbrellas, was something. A shape. Not quite a person, but not a shadow either. Tall and slender, it stood apart from the crowd, its edges soft and indistinct, like smoke curling from a cigarette. No face, no features, just a silhouette that seemed to lean forward as if watching. Alex's stomach twisted, a cold knot forming low in his gut. He shook his head, forcing a laugh. It's just a trick of the light, Mom. Or maybe Uncle Ted photobombed us from afar. Clara's face paled, her lips pressing into a thin line. She flipped the album shut with a snap that echoed like a gunshot. It's not Uncle Ted. And it's not a trick. Her voice cracked, and she stood abruptly, smoothing her sweater as if to steady herself. I need some air. Richard rose too, his chair scraping against the floorboards. Clara, it's nothing. Old photos play games with the eyes. But his tone lacked conviction, and Alex caught the flicker of unease in his father's eyes. The same look he'd worn when the firm nearly went under during the '08 crash. Emily squeezed Alex's hand under the blanket of her thigh. What was that about? She murmured, once Clara had slipped into the kitchen. I have no idea, Alex admitted, staring at the closed album like it might bite. His mind raced, engineering the anomaly away. Overexposure, lens flare, a smudge on the print. But the shape lingered in his vision, a ghost etched into his retinas. The rest of the evening unraveled like a poorly knotted tie. Clara returned with pie slices that no one touched, her smiles brittle as spun sugar. Conversation steered to safer waters. Emily's latest design project, Richard's golf handicap, but the air hummed with unspoken tension. By 10, Alex and Emily made their excuses, bundling into coats against the biting wind. As they drove back to the city, the snowflakes swirling like confetti in the headlights, Emily broke the silence. Your mom seemed really shaken. You think she's okay? Alex gripped the wheel tighter. Yeah, just holiday stress. You know how she gets nostalgic. But sleep evaded him that night. Curled beside Emily's soft breathing, he replayed the photo in his mind. That shape, tall, watchful. It felt familiar. Like a half-remembered dream from childhood, the kind that left you waking with damp sheets and a racing heart. The next morning, Christmas Eve, Alex woke to a text from Clara. Come by the house today. Alone. We need to talk. No emojis, no warmth, just the words stark on the screen. Emily was still asleep, her curls splayed across the pillow like a halo. He kissed her temple and slipped out, the apartment's hardwood cold under his feet. The drive to Oak Park was a blur of salted roads and holiday traffic. Snow piled in dirty heaps along the curbs, and the radio crooned Bing Crosby's White Christmas. Alex's thoughts churned. Clara had always been the emotional core of the family, quick to tears at weddings and graduations, but this felt different. Deeper. like she'd unearthed a fault line in the foundation of their lives. She was waiting in the living room when he arrived, the albums spread across the coffee table like evidence in a trial. Richard was at the office, deliberate, Alex suspected. Clara looked smaller in the daylight, her cardigan swallowing her frame. "Sit," she said, patting the cushion beside her. He obeyed, the leather creaking under his weight. "Mom, about last night," she held up a hand, silencing him. "I wasn't going to show you this. Not yet. Maybe not ever." Her fingers trembled as she opened the album to the picnic photo. With a deep breath, she traced the shape in the background. "This isn't the first time it's appeared." Alex's throat tightened. "Appeared? Mom, it's a shadow. A glitch." "No." She flipped to another page, revealing a snapshot from his 5th birthday party in the backyard. There he was, blowing out candles on a Superman cake, surrounded by cousins and balloons. And there, in the corner by the fence, the same silhouette, taller this time, as if stepping closer. His pulse quickened. Coincidence. Same angle, same time of day. Clara's eyes met his, glistening. Every family photo from 1995 to 1997. Birthdays, vacations, school plays. It's always there, Alex. Watching you. A chill spidered down his spine, despite the radiator's hiss. He snatched the album, flipping frantically. Christmas time at the Frank Lloyd Wright House tour. There it was, lurking behind a tour group. The school field trip to the shed aquarium, peering from the reflection in the glass tank. Each image more insistent, the shape less amorphous, hints of form emerging. A shoulder, perhaps a hand outstretched. "Ooh, what is it?" Alex's voice was barely above a whisper. Clara hesitated, her knuckles white on the table's edge. "Your aunt. My sister. Elena." The name hit like a sledgehammer. Aunt Elena. The ghost in family lore, the one mentioned only in hushed tones, if at all. Alex's memories of her were fragments. A laugh like wind chimes, a scent of lavender soap. She'd vanished when he was 4. Poof, gone. No body, no note, just an empty room in the old house and a police report gathering dust. The official story: runaway, overwhelmed by city life after moving to Chicago from their small-town roots in Wisconsin. But whispers had followed, affairs, debts, something darker. Elena was troubled, Clara continued, her voice fracturing. "After Dad died, our father, your grandfather," she spiraled. "Moved here, got mixed up with the wrong crowd. Then, one night in 97, she was gone. We searched for months. Private investigators, tips from seedy bars downtown. Nothing." Alex stared at the photos, the shape now a specter overlaying his childhood. "And you think, this is her? In the pictures?" Clara nodded, tears spilling. "I saw her once, after she disappeared. In a dream, or maybe not." She said, "Watch over him, Clara. He's the key." I thought it was grief talking. But then the photos. Every time I look, she's there. Closer each year. The room spun. Alex's architect brain rebelled, demanding blueprints, measurements, proof. "This is impossible. Ghosts don't show up in Polaroids." "Not ghosts," Clara said softly. "Echoes. Or warnings." He left the house in a daze, the album clutched under his arm like a talisman. The snow had stopped, leaving the world muffled in white. Driving aimlessly through Oak Park's historic streets, past the Hemingway birthplace, the Unity Temple, he pieced together the puzzle. Elena Harlan, 32 at the time of her disappearance, an artist like Emily but wilder. Uncles had called her the family black sheep. Aunts had pitted her restless soul. Alex had a vague memory of her at his 3rd birthday, painting his cheeks with clown makeup, her eyes distant, like she was already half gone. By afternoon, he found himself at the Chicago Public Library's genealogy desk, the album open before a skeptical archivist named Marta. She peered through her bifocals, humming thoughtfully. "Digital restoration might help," she suggested, scanning the photos into her computer. Minutes ticked by, the machine whirring like an old projector. When the enhanced images bloomed on screen, Alex's breath caught. The shape sharpened, not smoke, but a woman. Slender build, dark hair falling in waves, a dress that fluttered like lace. Elena's face was blurred, but the posture, head tilted, hand extended, was unmistakable from the few clear portraits in the album. Marta leaned back. "Family resemblance is strong." "Who is she?" "My aunt," Alex managed. "Missing for 28 years. She nodded sympathetically. "I've seen stranger things in these archives. Runaways, yes. But echoes? That's folklore territory." She handed him a printout. Enhanced stills, timestamps matched to the originals. No anomalies in exposure, no doubles in the negatives. Just her. That evening, Emily noticed his distraction over takeout Thai in their apartment. The city lights glittered beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows, the L train rumbling like a distant heartbeat. "Talk to me, Alex. You've been ghosting since breakfast." He showed her the prints, the story spilling out in fits and starts. Emily's eyes widened, her designer's eye tracing the lines. "It's her. God, the composition, it's like she's composing the shot herself." She paused, fork midway to her mouth. "What now? Call the cops? A medium?" Alex laughed bitterly. "Cops wrote her off decades ago. And mediums? That's not me." But sleep brought no clarity. Dreams wove through his subconscious. Elena's laughter echoing in empty halls, her shadow stretching long across sunlit beaches. He woke sweating, the clock glowing 3:17 a.m. Emily stirred beside him. "Alex? Go back to sleep," he murmured, but he was already up, pulling on jeans and a hoodie. The album called to him from the nightstand. Flipping to the last page, a family portrait from Christmas '97, weeks before her vanishing, he froze. There she was, clearest yet, standing just behind 4-year-old Alex, her hand ghosting his shoulder. But in the dream haze, he swore he felt it, cool fingers, a whisper, "See me." Dawn broke gray and unforgiving. Alex drove to the old family apartment where Elena had lived, a walk-up in Wicker Park's bohemian heart. Ironically, the same neighborhood he now called home. The building was still there, repainted in trendy pastels, a coffee shop on the ground floor. The super, a grizzled Polish man named Stan, remembered the crazy artist lady vaguely. Quiet tenant. Paid on time. One night, lights on, next morning gone. Left sketches everywhere, ghosts and shadows, creepy stuff. Alex sweet-talked his way into the unit, now a yoga studio, but the walls hummed with residue. He pressed his palm to the faded wallpaper, imagining Elena's easel there, paint splattered like blood. In the basement storage, forgotten boxes. Canvases warped with age, depicting ethereal figures in urban landscapes. One caught his eye, a self-portrait, Elena staring out with haunted eyes, the background a swirl of Chicago's skyline, and his face? A child's face superimposed, innocent and unknowing. Heart pounding, he pocketed a sketch and headed downtown. The Art Institute's archives yielded little. Elena's work had been fringe, exhibited in dive galleries now shuttered. But a curator, an elderly woman with silver hair, remembered her. Talented but tormented. Spoke of echoes in her art, family curses, lost souls. Said her nephew was touched, whatever that meant. Nephew? Him. Alex's world tilted. Touched by what? He spent the afternoon in a haze, wandering the Loop, the magnificent Miles holiday bustle a blur. Shoppers laden with bags, carolers on corners, the bean reflecting distorted faces. By dusk, he was at his father's office, the Harlan and Associates sign glowing neon against the twilight. Richard was behind his desk, blueprints unfurled like battle plans. He looked up, surprise etching his features. "Alex? Thought you were with Emily." "Dad." Alex slapped the enhanced photo down. "Elena, tell me the truth." Richard's face drained of color. He sank into his chair, rubbing his temples. "Your mother swore we'd never what? Lie to me my whole life." Alex's voice rose, echoing off the glass walls. "She's in every photo. Watching me. Why?" Richard sighed, the weight of years slumping his shoulders. "Elena wasn't just your aunt. She was obsessed. With you. From the moment you were born, she saw something in you. The vessel, she called it. Family legend, our grandmother's side from old Irish stock. A gift or curse, seeing the dead or becoming them." Alex recoiled. "What the hell are you talking about?" "Elena believed it skipped her, landed on you. She painted it, wrote about it in journals. When she disappeared, we thought suicide. But Clara, she found a note. I'll watch over him from the edges. Until he sees. We burned it. Buried the stories. To protect you. Protect." The word tasted like ash. Alex stormed out, the city a smear of lights and horns. He drove to Lake Michigan, the lakefront winds whipping his coat. Waves crashed against the breakwater, black and furious. He pulled out his phone, dialing Emily. "I need you." She met him at the Adler Planetarium, the dome a silent sentinel. They walked the deserted paths, snow crunching underfoot. Emily listened, her hand in his as he poured out the madness. Echoes, curses, a life built on lies. "What if it's true?" He whispered. "What if I'm broken?" "You're not," she said fiercely, stopping to face him. Her eyes, fierce in the sodium glow, held his. "You're Alex Harlan, the man who designs dreams. If there's a ghost, we'll face it. Together." Christmas Day dawned brittle. The Harlan home was subdued, no carols, just the crackle of the fire. Emily arrived with fortifying coffee, her presence a bomb. Clara and Richard sat like penitents, the album open between them. "We should have told you," Clara said, voice raw. "But fear, it builds walls." Alex nodded, the anger ebbing to exhaustion. "Show me the rest." They pored over the photos, Elena's presence a thread weaving through time. In one, from his high school prom, she stood by the punch bowl, translucent. In another, his college graduation, behind the podium, applauding. Closer, always closer. As night fell, the power flickered, storm rolling in off the lake. Thunder rumbled, and the room plunged into darkness. Emily's hand tightened in Alex's. A chill seeped in, unnatural, carrying lavender and salt. The air thickened, whispers brushing his ear. "See me now." A glow bloomed from the fireplace, not flames but light. The photos on the table shimmered, Elena stepping free. Not shadow but form, ethereal, radiant, her face a mirror of Clara's, softened by sorrow. She turned to Alex, his eyes pleading. "Nephew," she breathed, voice like wind through reeds. "The key. You carry it, the sight. I hid to protect you, but the veil thins." Alex's heart thundered. "From what?" "The echo. Our bloodline's gift, glimpses of the lost. But it calls them back. I vanished to break the chain, but you've ignored it. Now it pulls." Emily gasped but held fast. Richard crossed himself, old habits dying hard. Clara wept openly. Elena extended her hand, solidifying to touch his cheek, cool, real. "See the truth. You're not cursed. You're the bridge. Build with it, or it builds you." The vision wavered, storm winds howling. Elena faded, but her whisper lingered. "Forgive us." Light returned, the room gasping back to life. Alex stared at his hands, trembling. No blueprints could map this. But in the silence, clarity cracked through. The weeks blurred. January's gray gave way to February's tentative sun. Alex dove into Elena's sketches, restoring them with Emily's help, exhibiting them in a small Wicker Park gallery. Echoes of the Veil, they titled it. Whispers turned to crowds. The press called it Chicago's spectral sensation. But the real reconstruction was internal. Alex confronted the firm, integrating sight into designs. Sustainable homes with echo chambers for natural light, parks that honored the unseen histories of the land. Richard stepped back, passing the reins. Clara found peace in therapy circles for families of the missing. Emily and Alex's wedding came in June, under a sky as blue as Lake Michigan. Vows exchanged in a garden overlooking the water, Elena's sketch framed on the archway. A guardian, not a ghost. Alex Harlan, once the man of firm ground, learned foundations shift. But with the right vision, they hold. And in the quiet nights, when shadows danced, he no longer turned away. He saw.